the consumer format of society. That is a term that we use to describe our modern society. From it, you kind of get an idea or maybe assume how it operates, the way it's structured. Nonetheless, in one word, do we really understand the different facets of such a format and, more important, the consequences? What are the foundations of such a format of society? Let's break it down together. Let's look at those foundations. Let's describe them so we can really understand if they are the proper ones to support the strive of our society, of our human civilization. Because if it's not appropriate, then what would be the opposite then? I mean, the opposite of bad is good, right? So it might be indeed better, at least better options. Let's describe the foundations of our consumer format of society we have currently. And then, by simple opposition, let's see what we could have into a different type of society. The first foundation of the consumer format of society is the value of power. Yes, power is the highest value. Divide and rule is the main principle of the structure of society. The basis of power is the exploitation of man by man. Power is provided by all means, even at the cost of other people's lives. The interests of the ruling elites are always higher than human life and even the life of entire nations. The man himself and his life in the consumer format of society are just a commodity. The goal of each person is to obtain, retain, and expand power. Your power must constantly grow. Human life is nothing, but power is everything. So the first foundation in this other type of society will be that human life is the highest value, that the life of any human has to be protected as one's own. The goal of society is to ensure and to guarantee the value of each human's life. There is not and never can be anything else more valuable than a human's life. If one human is valuable, then all people are valuable. The second foundation of the consumer format of society is slavery. Because no one is born with the right to be a human in this society. All rights and freedom exist only on paper. No one has real freedom of choice. Everyone is a slave to his position. In the consumer format of society, a person, his rights, freedoms, and interests are always last placed and are constantly violated. Every human is born with the right to be a human being. All people are born free and equal, and everyone has the right to choose. There can be no one and nothing on earth superior to a human, his freedom and his rights. The implementation of human rights and freedoms must not violate the rights and freedoms of others. The third foundation is the threats, because in the consumer format of society nobody is safe. The life and freedom of every person is in constant threats. No one is provided with basic necessity of life free of charge. including food, housing, healthcare, education, full social security, scientific, industrial, and technological activities of the society aimed at enriching and protecting a small groups that govern a particular country, for example, which at the same time are themselves in constant danger from the actions of their competitors. Guarantee economic instability in any country and in the world as a whole. Crisis, inflation, many currencies and their devaluation, the constant rise in prices and taxes. The security of man and the society itself today is not provided by the right services because of their fragmentation, the lack of necessary resources to save people is not there. When people helping rescue service are guided by political, economic, and actually other motives, and not by the value of human life. In the event of a nuclear war, a climate catastrophe, no one is protected. No one and nothing in society has the right to create any type of threats to the life and freedom of a human. Every human is guaranteed free provision of essential life necessities, including food, housing, medical care, education, and full social security. Scientific, industrial, and technological activities of the society should be aimed exclusively at improving the quality of humans' life. Guaranteed economic stability, no inflation and crisis, stable and same prices around the world, a single monetary unit, and a fixed minimal taxation or no tax. The security of human and society as a whole from any type of threats is ensured by a unified global service that deals with emergency situations. The fourth foundation is hiding information, lying, and manipulation, because reliable information about the state of the consumer format of society and the real state of affairs, including the movement, the society, and the distribution of funds in this society, is available only to a few. The media are private and distort and hide information, manipulate it in its own interest or in the interest of their owners. Telling the truth is actually dangerous. The transparency and openness of information for all, because every human has the right to receive reliable information about the movement and the distribution of public funds. Each human has access to information about the status of implementation of the society's decision. And the mass media, they belong exclusively to the societies and reflect information truthfully, openly, and honestly. The fifth foundation of the consumer format of society is destructive ideology, because the ideology in this society aim at activating the basest quality of a person: hatred, envy, anger, greed, selfishness, vanity, and on promotion of action dangerous for life and health, as well as moral and physical perversion. The main priority is the cult of money and power, the struggle for survival and domination, greed, cruelty, dishonesty, disrespect for each other, and inciting hatred. Creation of conditions for human degradation, cultivating selfishness, immorality, and ignorance in him. Distortion or complete leveling of moral values. Substitution of the concept of good and evil. Propaganda of aggression, violence, separation, confrontation, hostility, and anti-humanity. That is the destructive ideology of our consumer formal of society. The creative ideology, because an ideology should be aimed at popularizing the best human quality and stopping everything that is directed against a human. The main priority is the priority of humanity, high spiritual moral aspiration of humanness, virtue, mutual respect, and strengthening of friendship, creating conditions for the development and education of a human with a capital H, cultivating moral values in each person and society, prohibition of propaganda of violence, condemnation and denunciation of any type of division, aggression, and anti-human manifestations. The sixth foundation is the degradation of personalities. Only a few have actually the possibility of comprehensive development and self-realization. Many people do not even have access to basic education, and number of such people is in constant growth. Quality of education is expensive and accessible to few, and the education system creates conditions for degradation of the human personality, artificially limits people in knowledge and development, meanwhile killing the genius in every person while raising slaves. Such conditions have been created so that a person was forced to survive and did not have the opportunity and the time to realize his creative abilities and talents. Every person in the society has the right to comprehensive development and personal fulfillment. Education should be free and equally accessible to all, creating conditions and expanding opportunities for human to implement his or her creative abilities and talents. The seventh foundation is the total injustice and inequality, because most natural resources have actually been appropriated by a narrow group of people who use them in their own interest, for their own enrichment, and at their own discretion, up to their complete depletion. The rest of people are limited in the use of natural resources, forced to actually pay for them, or completely deprived of them, and thus die from their lack. Most resources are virtually monopolized, misused, and distributed unfairly, leading to poverty, division, and war. Employment is not guaranteed for person, but the person are forced to work constantly in order to survive. Remuneration for an identical position, identical specialty or profession differ depending on different factors: the country, the race, citizenship, nationality, age, gender, social status, belief, and other factors. The amount of capitalization of an individual is not limited, which leads to excessive hoarding and unfair distribution of resources. All natural resources belong to humans and are fairly distributed among all people. Monopolization of resources and their irrational use is just prohibited. These resources are fairly distributed among all citizens of the entire earth. A human is guaranteed employment if he or she desires. Pay for an identical position, specialty, or profession should be the same all over the world. Everyone has the right to private property and income, however, within the limits of the individual's capitalization amounts set by the society. Finally, the last foundation of the consumer formal of society is the power and hierarchy, because there is no self-government in society in the consumer formal of society. It is built on power and hierarchy, and people have shifted their responsibilities for society as a whole, its development and living conditions to those in power who use power for their own interests. People transferred their power to unite, and with the right to decide how to live. Elections and referendums create only just an appearance of participation of the people in managing the affairs of society. But all key decisions and laws that affect people's lives are made by a narrow circle of people and behind closed doors. The concept of power in this society is just simply absent, since the responsibility for the society as a whole, its developments, its living conditions and harmonious formats lies with each human. Everyone has the right to participate in the management of the affairs of the creative society and in the adoptions of laws that improve humans' life. The solution of socially important, socially significant and economic issues that affect the quality of human life is submitted for public discussion and for voting with referendum. So, do you see the difference? Do you realize what kind of society we are living in? But more important, what alternative we can build together with the creative society?